Good morning. This is the Blaine's World Show, heard every so often on different channels. You can catch us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. At any rate, what we do each week is, or each show, is talk about different things that are happening in the area. And one of the things that's happening in this area is the show Matilda. It's going to be at Parkway Playhouse. And before we talk about the play, I should introduce our guest today. And she is Jenny Martin. And Jenny, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this. Okay. And this is Jenny Martin. And in her spare time, she is directing this show. Is that correct? The director of the show?
Yes, my spare time.
Okay. When she's not also acting, when she's not running Parkway Playhouse, when she's not doing a whole bunch of other kinds of things. And so, Jenny, what I always do the first time I meet somebody on the air is I'm curious as to how you got into doing what you're doing. And so, as a child, you grew up where?
Here in Burnsville. My parents moved here when I was 2 years old from Florida, so I don't remember anything from being down there. And I went to school in Yancey County, graduated from Mountain Heritage. Then I went to UNCG and got my theater education degree, and actually then came back to Burnsville and started teaching middle school drama. And I've taught, this is my 22nd year teaching. And about 3 years ago, I switched to teaching English just because I needed to change. But I've been doing theater since I was in the fourth grade. We put on a class play, and I got bitten by that bug that everybody gets bitten by. And I did some drama stuff in middle school. We had a drama teacher then. And then in high school, got really into it and decided to go into theater education. And in high school, I actually interned at Parkway Playhouse as a junior and senior. And then all through college, I interned also. So I've been working here on and off since I was about 15 or 16 years old.
So you
Um,
mentioned you mentioned I find it hard to believe 22 years, even teaching. So you
yeah.
like me, you were like the you started what? You were like the youngest teacher ever at the age of
I
7,
was 5 or 6 years old when I
five or
started
six.
teaching.
Because I'm doing the math. I can't believe 22 years, add on top of that. So it's interesting. So you mentioned you got the bug as a kid. Do you remember the very first play you ever were in?
Yes.
What
So
was it?
it was a play that was literally just called The Civil War. And my fourth grade teacher had written it and put it on. And so we were all different characters. There were soldiers and like Southern belles. And we all had, it was like a monologue kind of show. I think it did have a couple of scenes in it, but my mom made my costume because she could sew. And it was this like purple antebellum dress, and I thought I was hot stuff because I got to be in this play. So
Is your teacher still around?
yeah, she is.
Wait, I have to ask you, give her a shout out to her. The teacher.
So my teacher was Miss Judy Bird, and I think she's probably in her maybe late 70s or 80s now, and she was a phenomenal teacher, an absolute phenomenal
Well,
teacher.
make sure we get a copy of this show to Judy. So thank
Okay.
you, Judy, for this this person
Yes,
on this
absolutely.
career. But let me ask you then. I don't know if you've heard this idea of mine, but I have this idea that I've shared with other people at Parkway and other places as well. But I want to do a fundraiser, and I'm volunteering now to help Parkway on this. And the fundraiser I want to do, Jenny, is I want everybody to recreate their very first role. Okay,
That
so
would be so
I'm
fun.
telling you, wait, so when you did that role, did your mom videotape it or was there a tape of this anywhere?
Probably. I know I've got pictures from it, but I don't think that there's a video or anything. I would, oh gosh, I would love it if there
But tell
was,
me
but
that wouldn't be the coolest thing in the world that everybody
yes,
would create the first role, even if they were
it
free,
would.
whatever. But I'm telling you, I've offered other theaters, I'll offer to Parkway, I'll volunteer, I'll even make a contribution to it. I just think that would be so much fun to have everybody recreate that first role, especially if they don't have a record of it or that nobody ever
Yeah.
did it with any
Yeah.
pictures. So jot it down if you are, but I'm there.
Yeah, I am. That's a great idea.
Okay, I'm there to help you out on it. It would be so much fun, to
Yeah.
do, and especially get your mom to find the costume or to recreate the
Yes. I,
costume.
I have the costume still. It actually is here at Parkway in the basement. I donated it to the theater, so it's downstairs
Well,
somewhere.
has it ever been used in a show?
Not yet, no, but I'm sure it will be one day. So,
Well,
and
I'm
I
thinking,
mean, it fits a 9 year old, so we'd have to do.
well, I'm thinking of the fundraiser, or we could do a before and after, or you could do you as a kid. I don't know, I just love the
Yeah, that would
idea.
be that's really sweet. I like the idea of that.
So
That's fun.
you acted as a kid through Southern Elementary School. Did you act through high school and college?
Yes, yes. So I was in several shows in high school, and then when I was taught by Elisa Bryant, who was also in Our Town this
Okay, right.
season.
Okay,
Um,
great.
yes, she was my high school drama teacher, and then she's also going to be in Arsenic and Old Lace later on in the season. So if anybody caught Our Town, you'll get to see her again at the end.
Just
She's bookending our season this year.
okay,
So
just love watching her on stage, and
oh, me too,
but
me
that is
too.
really cool. So she was your teacher.
Yes.
Who would have thunk? Do you have so then did you also act in college?
A little bit, because I was doing theater education, I didn't have a lot of time to be in shows because I had tons of requirements for going to like intern and observe other teachers, and we had a lot of that going on. But I was in a couple of productions. I was in a production of The Grapes of Wrath, which was really, really fun. It was about 9 hours long. But
And I like how you said that. I love your attitude. Grips are really, really fun. You don't think of
it was a fun show to be in, but when we performed it, it was like
well, that was a little like our town. It was
you
maybe a
felt
fun
like you
show.
lived through the grapes of wrath when you were
Right,
done. So,
exactly. Do you
yeah.
have a put you on the spot? Do you have a favorite show you were ever in?
Oh, so I was in a production of Steel Magnolias here, and I got to play Truvy in Steel Magnolias, which is one of my favorite roles I've ever done. And that was several years ago, probably 2000,
Right.
maybe like 14 or 15, I think. Um, so when I was in high school, I was in Steel Magnolias, but of course, we were all teenage girls and we had to be adult women. So I played Clarie, which is one of the old women.
Okay, sure.
And so I got to do it again and then play Truvy. So I told somebody one time that my goal is to play all of the characters in Steel Magnolias before I die. I'm too old to be Shelby at this point, but so
Right.
I've missed out on my Shelby opportunity. But I love that show. So.
And do you have same kind of question? Do you have a bucket list show that's something you've always wanted to do?
So many. I mean, I don't even know that I could name one because I have so many that I want to do. I actually have gotten to the point where there's more shows that I would like to direct than I would act in. But I like to do both. So
And let me ask you about that because I ask a lot of actors who became directors or directors
yeah.
who became actors. I guess you don't usually see it that way. Do you have a preference acting or directing?
Um, it depends on the play, I guess. And also I really like working with kids because I mean, obviously, as a theater educator, that's kind of my heart. So I direct all the junior shows, or not all of them, but most of them throughout the year because I'm also over the education program here. And so I love working with teenagers. I love working with little kids. And then that's why Matilda has been so fun, is because I've had both kids and adults. But when I'm in a show, I prefer to be in a show that's all adults. It's like my me time, but I enjoy both probably equally.
And I
Yeah.
give you credit for the answer because I oftentimes ask a lot of actors who became directors, and they almost always say directing,
Yeah.
exclusively. And the reason, Jenny, they're not telling me the truth, but the reason is they don't have to memorize the dialogue that way.
Oh, yeah. I hate memorizing lines more than
Yeah.
anything else in the world. Yeah.
Okay.
I
But
truly do.
but let me ask you as a director, and this is I've seen some directors have to do this. Have you ever had to step in for a role if somebody got sick or missed a
Um,
performance?
I haven't, but I've been in a show. I was involved in a production here one time where one of the actors, and I can't really remember the situation, but the director had to step in for the actor's role. And so then I had to come in as like an assistant director because he wasn't able to watch the play
Right.
and be in it at the same time. It was when we did um, oh my gosh, it's that show about pirates, Treasure Island,
Okay.
several years ago. That's been a really long time ago. But yeah, the director ended up having to take on a role. I can't remember why the actor couldn't do the show, but it was like literally a week before we opened. And the director said, "Hey, can you just come in and watch and make sure things are good?" But
What amazes me, Jenny, is that so many shows go off as scheduled that you see very few shows ever get canceled,
Yeah.
and with people getting sick and then you had COVID, you had, all sorts of stuff
Yes.
on that. That's amazing shows go on as is. Because again, at Parkway level, at almost any level, you don't have understudies. There's no such thing, so somebody can't go on, but yet somehow they come on and
Oh,
somehow
yeah.
somehow they get to the theater because I love the theater. And it's gotten much better with the road. The road used to be terrible, but
Yes.
that's not my favorite drive because the long drive for me, it's from
Yeah, it's long. Yeah, it can be.
and then the thing. Hopefully, you warn your performers before they come on board with you is don't speed on that road because
Oh,
I've gone
you'll get a ticket.
I've gone one and it drives me crazy because the only road I know that changes speed about 17 times
It
and
does. Hmm.
just ridiculous.
Out of nowhere. Yep.
Exactly, but they get to Parkway somehow. And so let's talk then about the show and talk about an ambitious undertaking. You folks are doing Matilda and starts this Friday, I believe.
Yes.
And so talk a little bit for the few people who don't know what Matilda is. What's the show all about?
So it's based on the book. And I think most people probably read, either one of Roald Dahl's books, Matilda, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the BFG, those, all that he wrote. Matilda was actually my favorite out of those when I was a kid. I read it multiple times. And so it's the story of a little girl who is very precocious and very advanced academically. She, reads at 4 or 5 years old and ends up she has this terrible family. They all want to watch TV all the time instead of reading, and she goes to school, and her teacher is Miss Honey. And she and Miss Honey develop a really sweet little special relationship, but the headmistress of the school is Agatha Trunchbull, and she's the villain of the show, of course.
Just when you mention it, it makes me laugh. That role is one of the great roles.
Oh, it's fantastic. And Roberta Whiteside is playing our Trunchbull, and she was also in Our Town. And she's a phenomenal singer and performer, and I love working with her. She and I have been friends for a really long time. We actually taught together at the middle schools when we were both teaching in the middle school level, and she teaches elementary school music now. But she and I have known each other a long, long time, and I adore working with her. I love directing her. I love being on stage with her. She's great with children. She does some of our music direction. She just music directed our production of 101 Dalmatians Kids that we did last weekend. And so she's great, and she's fantastic as the Trunchbull. She's really good.
And no
So,
offense to Roberta, who I love also as a person and performer, but I could see her in that role too.
oh yeah, she's great. She
Uh,
eats it up.
well,
Absolutely.
Matilda, then refresh my memory. So I know the story. I didn't ever see it. Was a movie? Was there a movie version of Matilda?
Yes, there's
Yeah.
so there's
But not a musical version. Was there a
no.
non-musical version?
No, there's a movie from the 90s that had Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman in it.
Right.
They were both the parents, the Wormwoods. And then but the 90s movie's great. And then there's actually you can watch the stage production. I think it's on Disney Plus,
Right.
maybe. They have the
And
that. So yeah.
I saw it. I loved it. But let me ask you this in terms of as a director, do you recommend even to your actors they see a film or a play before they're in it? Good or bad idea?
It depends. I always tell them, I want everybody to obviously, know they need to know what the story is about. And the best way to do that is either to read the book or watch a movie. Obviously, sometimes that's not available and you just have to go with it. But especially for kids, it's really good for them to have some background and, know those characters and know kind of what they're getting into before they're in the play. But I also warn them that this whatever role they're playing, it's their role as an actor and they need to put their take on it and their even the audience shouldn't expect to see the movie version of the Trunchbull or the West End Broadway version of the Matilda, because every actor has their own spin on it and their own take, and I want them to do that. So
What would be fun, I would imagine, is after the show is run, or almost party or something like that, to then see the film, with the
yeah,
cast afterward.
that would be fun. Yeah, yeah.
To see what they were in. So this play, listening to you, it seems like it's almost like the perfect show for Parkway, but other places as well, because it seems appropriate for both kids and adults. Would you
Yes.
say that's true?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Totally. I mean, ages 0 through 100 could enjoy it. So
Okay.
very family friendly.
Except kids might get some bad ideas from it. Here's how you should not behave, or here's
Yeah, exactly. Don't do this.
what happened in school. So you mentioned a little bit of the cast. So you're directing it. You mentioned Roberta. Um,
Yes.
I obviously I don't know the kids or most of the kids. I wouldn't know them by name. But who are some of the actors else in it?
So we actually have two young ladies that are playing Matilda, and they're going to switch weekends back and forth. Alma Rouse is one young lady, and the other one is Allison Yumagalova. And both of them have been involved in our junior programming for years. Allison came on with us, I think, in 2021 when we did Moana. That was her first show she did at Parkway. And Alma has been around since we did Willy Wonka, which has been a couple years ago, and they are both fantastic young ladies on and off stage. I love working with both of them equally. I have told multiple people that I have been very, very blessed and lucky that both of my Matildas are equally talented, equally driven. They both have their lines memorized perfectly. They both know their music. They're both really talented singers and performers. And then on top of it, they each have their own spin on who Matilda is. And so it's really sweet and fun to get to watch them alternating rehearsals and see what they bring to the role. And they've had a lot of fun doing that. I mean, it's been a really good experience for them, for Parkway. I was a little nervous about having, two different kids play that role, but I knew, it's such a heavy, there's so much to learn and do that it would be hard for a child that young. Both of them are like 12, 13. It would be hard for a child that young to perform every single night, for nine performances in 3 weekends. So
Well,
it's been fun to split it
in
up.
rehearsal, are they watching the other perform, or have they?
Yes.
That's interesting.
So what I did was I would block the scene with one girl and then the other one would watch and then we would rehearse it again with the other young lady and then we would switch so that the other child got to do it first and then the other one got to do it second. So that's been a fun experience. It's been a learning curve, but it's been great. And then when we've gotten into tech, starting on Sunday, I've just alternated, letting them do the entire show so they can kind of get the feel for it. So
I've never heard of that before, but that must be so cool for the rest of the cast to see this.
it
You're
is.
acting, and then all of a sudden have to act with somebody else.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. It is. The actress who's playing Miss Honey, her name is Emma Grace Ram, and she attends Auburn University, and she's been awesome. And she has gotten. I actually gave her a little shout out the other day in some notes because she has done a great job developing a relationship with both Matildas off stage, and she's just a really kind, sweet person. She really is Miss Honey. And the other children in the cast too, she's great with them, and I could not have asked for a better Miss Honey. She's been a great find for Parkway.
Not only as a director, but as an actor, that must be a challenge. Like, had you ever had to do that to act in a play with two different people in the cast?
No, no, and I agree. I think it's probably pretty challenging.
Yeah, you're used to one person, and all of a sudden have to see
Yeah,
somebody else. So I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know the person as Miss Honey. Some of the rest of the cast.
Let's see. So Mrs. Wormwood is played by Melanie Veazey, and
Okay.
she was in she's our vice president of the board, and she also music directs for us some. She's great. And she was
Such a talented actor. I'm sorry I don't see her in more stuff. I love her as a performer.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
fantastic. She's really good. She's hilarious as Mrs. Wormwood. And then Mr. Wormwood is played by Jeff Polgar, and he's a doctor here in town. He's actually the brother of Jonathan Polgar, who was in our town. So we've
Yeah.
had both doctors come be in the first two productions. So that's been really fun. Jeff has done, I think maybe I can't remember the last show he did here, but he's not acted on our stage in a long time, and it was fun. It's good to have him back. He was Captain Hook in Peter Pan, and that I think has been a really long time ago, like maybe 2008 or 9. And then We have Colin Eaton, who does a lot of choreography for us. He's actually the choreographer of this show, and he's playing Rodolfo. And so Colin is getting ready to move to New York in August. And so Matilda will be the last show that he gets to perform in. And then we have our Descendants production camp coming up here soon, and he is choreographing that. So that'll be his last show. And we're excited for his adventures, but we're really sad to see him leave. And then we have Lily Bartleson
Oh, for
is
sure.
Mrs. Phelps, the librarian, and she is hilarious and wonderful in that. She also was in Our Town, and she's going to be in several other things this summer. She's in our Murder Mystery Dinner Theater. She's in Arsenic and Oblace. She works in the box office. She's on the board. She does it all.
And none
So
of my favorites. She's just so expressive. When she
yes.
really is, I just love her as a performer.
Yes, her reactions to things happening on stage are my favorite thing in the world to watch. She's wonderful, wonderful.
So we hit some of the, I guess, the adults. Talk a little bit about the fact you told me off the air that I love how you expressed it as, well, how many people are in the show? And I loved your answer. What was your answer?
I said a couple over 30, a few over 30, I think. Yeah, we joked at the before we started that I feel like people just come in the back door and put on costumes and join the cast. We have almost, I think it's 24 or 25 children between the ages of 8 and 18, 19. And some of them have been involved in Parkway since they were very, very little. So it's been fun to literally watch them grow up on stage. One of our teen actors is Ellie Murphy, and she started this when she was 8 or 9. And she now is going to start her first year at UNC Chapel Hill in the fall. And so we're excited to have her here to do one of the teen ensemble roles. She's great. And then I have my own son and my daughter are both in the production. So it's been fun to direct both my kids. Um,
Have you done that before?
my son, yes. I've had my daughter one other time. She was in Aristocats last season, but my son loves this. And she does too. She just isn't she's not aged into like the older teen roles yet because she's only 10 years old. But Emerson is 13. He'll be 14 in August, and he's been doing Parkway since Moana in 2021 and has done every show and just loves it.
Which
So
reminds me of a show I once saw years ago, Oklahoma, and there was this one kid actor in it. It was just a little small community production, and you could see he didn't want to be there. And then I found out afterwards his father was making him to be in the show, and he was so miserable.
oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's one thing if you get kids who want to be in a show, but can you imagine being forced to
Oh
be
no,
in a
oh
show?
my gosh, I can't. That's not even worth it.
Right? It isn't. Oh, it was a terrible production, but
Luckily, all of our children want to be on stage. So
that's really exciting, though. How is this the largest cast you've ever directed?
I think I don't think it's the largest cast I've ever directed, but it's one of the largest. For main stage, it probably is the largest cast. For junior, I've had more. We actually have 53 kids enrolled in Descendants. So when that that starts July 7th, we're gonna have camp every day. So
Well, let me ask
uh,
you, that probably helps having been a teacher, but to get 53, let alone 28, 30, whatever, do you know all their names or
oh yeah, oh
every
yeah. I know their
character?
names and their personalities and their background stories.
I guess as a teacher, you used to do that. No, but I used to be great with names. And then eventually, as I got older, less great with names. That's a challenge to direct. And I've heard, Jenny, and you're probably a good example of it, that a really good director, you can tell a really good director if they're good with kids. Like I guess anybody can direct adults somewhat. No, but is that
It's
true
true.
that if you can direct kids, it's in some respects it's more of a challenge, because of they don't have a set personality. They don't have, it's can be challenging, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
it can definitely be challenging. And some of these kids have they've never been on stage before. And so, there's things like making sure they know stage directions. And so there's that teaching element of it. But, that's what Parkway is all about. We call ourselves a teaching theater, and we make sure that people know that this is the teaching theater. And, that doesn't just include kids. We're all learning. But it's a challenge to have a variety of kids. Some of them have a ton of experience and others don't, and you kind of have to slow down a little bit and then speed up for the ones who are ready to move on. So,
And I guess also they have different personalities, but
oh, totally. Yes,
I
on
guess
and off stage.
I
Yes.
guess not dissimilar. You would think adults would be easier in that sense, but I hear the same kinds of stories. You have the same behind the scenes stories with adults you have
Yeah,
with kids, and they have personalities and fights and cliques and whatnot.
absolutely. Yeah,
So,
there's always drama in the theater. Always.
so it's not at any age level. It happens at any age level.
It's all ages. Yeah. Yeah, it
So talk
is.
about something else, Jenny. You mentioned that quote in your spare time. You're not only directing this show, but Parkway, and I've heard good things about it too. Has what, a youth program going on, or is it in the middle of
Yes.
it? Has it
Yes,
started
so
yet?
we have a year-long junior program, and we do between 6 and 8 performances a year. So this summer we just finished our production of 101 Dalmatians with our younger children. That was like ages 6 to 11, and then we're doing Descendants for the summer camp. For the older kids, that's in July. And then this fall, we have Beetlejuice Jr. We're also doing a production of Frog and Toad Kids with our littles again. And then next spring, we're doing Hadestown Teen Edition, and then Alice in Wonderland Jr. And then we just, we just keep on going. So I try to do as many productions as possible. Right now, we have a grant that we're in year 2 of from the Dogwood Trust. That was for some junior expansion. So we've been able to add some shows, which has been just life changing for these children, because we used to have to combine all ages,
Right.
6 to 18, which you can imagine is extremely challenging. And so now we've been able to divide up the ages a little bit more and do some shows that are a little bit harder for our older, like advanced kids, and then do some like starter plays for our little ones that, those kids are our future actors and directors, and they need this as much as anybody. So that has been really, really exciting, and it keeps me busy, but it's worth it. It definitely is. And luckily, I have a good team here of people who want to work with our youth, and so I don't have to direct every single show.
Well,
But
since you mentioned it, and again, I'm very impressed with Parkway folks. You want to give a shout out to some of the other people who you work with or help you out?
oh yeah, so Melanie Veazey and Courtney Malone and Roberta Whiteside, all three do music direction for us. Courtney is actually the music director of Matilda, and she's worked with several of our youth productions. I think the last show she did for us was when we did SpongeBob a couple shows ago with the youth. So she's done that. And then Colin is usually our choreographer. He's phenomenal. And then Erica Tyner has directed some of our junior productions. So we've got really great people. Jackie Campos, who also is our operations manager here at Parkway. Mara Flynn, who's our production manager, she always stage manages for me, and she's actually stage managing Matilda also. And she is wonderful with kids. She has a heart for the children, and wants to take care of them. And so her being the stage manager is I tell her all the time she's my rock. I mean, she's phenomenal.
And talk about if people are listening to this, if they want to get involved, we'll talk about Parkway in general. But the junior program, you have the camps going on, you have other stuff going on. How do folks find out more information about that?
On our website, it's just parkwayplayhouse.com. And then we have a junior page that you can go to. And our marketing director has all of the information for everything upcoming. Anybody can always email me. My email is really easy to remember. It's director@parkwayplayhouse.com. And so if anybody, I'm always open to questions. We also, charge the kids to be in the productions, but we offer scholarships. And if anybody would be interested in donating to our scholarship fund, that's something that's really important to us, is not ever turning a child away just because they can't pay. I take them all. So even if they end up doing it for free. So if anybody feels, led to donate to that, we would definitely appreciate that. It helps us out a lot to have some scholarship money for those kids. So,
Listening
and
to you,
especially
Jen.
after Helene, I've noticed that our scholarship need has risen quite a bit because people are they've had to change jobs. Their housing has, is different sometimes. So it's been Helene has definitely thrown a wrench in things, just like COVID did. It's just one of those things. So
Listening to you, Jenny, the amazing thing I'm coming away from is the fact that you must not get much sleep, in terms of, and you're doing like these 27 different things simultaneously. It keeps you busy, doesn't it?
I have a lot of to-do lists, but yeah, I do try to when I get home, I try to like cut it off. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna turn off my email. I'm not gonna pick up a to-do
Good.
list. I'm just gonna sit here and like do nothing. So
After Matilda, Jenny, what's in store for Parkway?
Okay, so after Matilda, the next show we have is Descendants. That'll be our camp. And that runs July 18th, 19th, and 20th. So it's just three performances. Then we have Bloodletting in These Hills, which is super exciting. That show was the winner of our Appalachian Playwriting Festival last fall. And so because that show was the winner, it now gets to perform on our main stage. And Elizabeth DeVault is directing that, and it is going to be a fantastic performance. It is based on a story about mining in West Virginia, so it's very, Appalachian themed, and people will resonate with that story, I think. And then we have our Appalachian Playwriting Festival in September. That will be the next thing. And that'll be one weekend. I think it's the second weekend in September. I don't have my calendar right in front of me, so I don't want to say the wrong day. And then
Okay, let me just
Arsenic and Old Lace in
let me
October.
jump into the one the playwriting festival. Very exciting too. What is that all about?
So yeah, it is awesome. That festival was created by our marketing director, Cheyenne Dancy, and I love it. I think it's so fun. So we sometime in October, November, we start asking for submissions, and we have a committee that reads. I mean, I think last year we had like 20 something shows that we read, and then out of those, we narrow it down to three who perform at the festival. And so they all get a performance of a staged reading. And then we ask people to judge the festival, and the judges choose a winner. And then whoever the winner is gets to perform the next season on our main stage. So it's really fun and exciting. It's a great way for us to present new works and highlight local authors, because that's something that we care about here is locals and stories that are that resonate with our citizens in Burnsville and in Western North Carolina and in Appalachia at large. So it's a great program.
So the shows all have to have an Appalachian theme. Is that the idea
Yeah,
behind it?
so they either have to have an Appalachian theme or be written by a person who is an Appalachian author. So, not all of them end up with that kind of Appalachian feel to it, but they have to be, from the Appalachian area. So,
And since you mentioned Cheyenne, we have to give a shout out to one other person too, that also one of my favorite actors there, and he does a lot of directing as well. And Cheyenne's is with mentioned Daniel.
yes, Daniel Moore. So Daniel is he's actually on our board of directors now also, and he is directing our murder mystery dinner theater that's in July. It's actually sold out. So
Really? Wow.
yeah, we're excited about that. We've not done one of those in a really long time, and it's going to be performed at the New Ray Hotel here in town, which just opened up. So it's fun to have two historic Burnsville organizations get together and be able to do that. So, but he's directing that, and then in the fall, he's also going to direct Arsenic and Old Lace.
The only thing
So
bad about that, you mentioned Austin Nicole Lace. Um, I miss when Daniel directs because he's like one of my favorite actors of all time. And I just love watching him
yes, I
act.
know. I love watching him on stage. Yes,
And
I do too.
the only
And he's a
thing,
phenomenal director.
right, I imagine he's also a phenomenal actor. Just he's not the only thing that I'm missing. He could use a little bit more enthusiasm, is that acting. But I just love watching him
Sure,
act.
Blaine.
Right, exactly. But he's such a talented guy. So the
He
bad
really
thing, I won't see him. But Austin Nicole Days, that's going to be in the fall. Then that's the next major
Yes, in
production.
October. Yeah,
Okay.
right around Halloween. I think it opens the 10th of October and then runs 2 weekends.
Okay. And is that it for the year? Do you have anything else?
We've got some, like I said, we have some junior stuff going on, but that's our last main stage show of the year is Arsenic. So yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, it certainly sounds like Parkway is going to be busy. It has quite a season coming up, and it doesn't seem, which I'm so impressed, doesn't seem there are too many weekends when there's nothing happening.
There really aren't. There's usually something going on all the time.
And again, just to recap, if they want to see the upcoming play, Matilda, the dates of that are when, Jenny?
Yeah, June 2nd through July the 6th. It runs 3 weekends, opens this Friday, and then we close July 6th. So you've got 9 chances to go watch the show. So
If folks want to get information about the show, best bet is go to the website.
yeah,
And
our website, social media, we're on Facebook and Instagram, and Cheyenne always posts links to how to get tickets. We have a pay what you can night. I think we're doing that the third weekend. You'll have to check our website. I think it's the July 5th performance, where folks can just come and literally pay what they can. If it's $1, then that's what we take. So there really is no reason not to come watch Matilda. It's going to be a fantastic show. The music is really fun. The kids and the adults all sound great. So we're excited about it.
again, just one more shout out to Cheyenne. I think just does a great job, as you
Phenomenal
mentioned.
job.
And
Yes.
anyway, wherever you're doing, just keep it up. Thank you for being my
Thank
guest
you,
on this
Blaine.
edition of the Blaine's World webcast. Hopefully, I'll see you sometime in the near future again. I always get a thrill out of doing that. And also, I thank my producer, Cappy Tessetti, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks.